on the advice of my doctors, I'm going to focus on treatment and recovery. I will therefore be taking a temporary leave of absence as leader of the New Democratic Party of Canada. And I'm going to fight this.
When I saw that image a few weeks ago, I was shocked by how frail Jack Layton looked, because to me he was always the symbol of not just physical strength but moral courage and pep. And to see him looking that way was terrifying. And today, of course, we learned that Jack Layton has passed away at the age of 61. A terrible personal loss for his family and a loss for the Canadian constellation of political stars. Joining me in studio to talk about this is a personal friend of Jack Layton, and not just a personal friend, but someone who battled alongside him for many years, Adam Giambrone, a Sun News Network contributor and a longtime ally of Jack Layton. Thanks for being here on this tough day.
My pleasure.
Now, I'll be candid, you know me, I'm a right-of-center person. I criticize left-of-center politicians, but putting aside partisanship, Jack was a good egg.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think it's interesting as the political commentators or people involved like myself in the political process, you talk about a person as almost a figurehead. They're out there, they're the leader of the NDP, they're the Prime Minister, and you forget that these people are actually real people. And, you know, the interesting thing about Jack, and I'm sure it's true for the other people as well, I just happen to know Jack very well, is that there was a real person there who felt very passionate. I mean, he wasn't just up there saying something, he believed it. I mean, you might have disagreed with him, but he believed it, and he took the time. And what was special for me is he took the time with a lot of young people who were activists, who were political, interested in politics like myself, and actually would spend the time to talk to you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, he's 61, which means he's older than, say, a Stephen Harper or some of the other political leaders. But in my mind, he was always very youthful, partly because he had a youthful style and a youthful lifestyle, and he biked around. But I think you're right, he really focused on young people. I don't want you to give away any personal stories that you might not feel comfortable to do so, but can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with him, how he might have mentored you? I mean, you go back with him for years.
Well, I met Jack the first time. I mean, I knew about Jack. I was running for city council, and this is a good example because he didn't know me from Adam.
When was this?
In 2000.
Okay, how old were you then?
So I would have been 22, 23.
A real youngster.
And I was just running. I arguably didn't have a chance. I did fairly well in that election, but I kind of knew that I wasn't going to win, I'd hope, but I kind of knew it. And I was his 10 p.m. appointment at a cafe.
10 p.m. appointment? Most guys are tuckered, they're at home.
But he had another one after me.
Oh,
like, I know. I mean, he took the time. We spent about 45 minutes. Yeah. I mean, and he was going off, or someone else was coming in, and he was going to sit down and have a chat with him. And you know, that I wanted to talk to him. He was a veteran city councilor at the time, and through I got to know him. I was then the president of the party a year later.
Oh yeah.
He ran for the leadership. I was neutral because I was administering the leadership.
Right.
I got to know him as the president, and it wasn't just me. He did this for a lot of young people, especially. He took the time to actually sit down, talk to you about what you were doing, offer some advice. He'd probably been there as an activist and a politician. And I thought that was really important. And it's something for me that's now important that I do for younger people too who want to run for office of every political party if they want to talk, because it was so important to me growing up as someone interested.
Tell me some more of these personal anecdotes. I mean, did you have a rapport with him? Did you ever meet his family? Did he call you up from time? I mean, obviously you worked closely together in a business capacity. You were the president of the party. He was the leader. Tell me some of the personal things that made him a little bit different than your average politician.
Well, what might have been a little bit different than another politician is sometimes you do have a very strict separation. And, this is always a family decision, and each family is different. Jack's family was very much a part of his life politically. His wife, Olivia Chow, was a city councillor, school trustee, I guess, before, and then went on to be a member of parliament.
Right. That's pretty amazing right there.
It's kind of, I guess they were obviously attracted to each other out of that mutual interest.
And their kids, they've got a couple kids. Mike is a city councillor now?
Just became a city councillor.
Is his daughter political at all, or a different path?
She's always been active in terms of showing up, but I think she's decided not to be engaged. I haven't talked to her about what her plans or what really are. But that family was very close. Olivia's mother was always part of it, so she would be part of.
Really?
In terms of being around the house. And Jack always had a lot of people. There was always something. It might have been a meeting about cycling in Toronto that he might have got to people together and talked about. It might be a national organizing meeting. There was always a lot of activity. And when he went across the country, I had the opportunity to be with him across the country, you'd have these similar types of meetings with activists, with party leaders. There was always somebody to talk to. He enjoyed this. Like, it wasn't just that he was going to stand up in the House of Commons. He actually wanted to hang out with like a farmer in Saskatchewan and find out. I don't know if they agreed, but he wanted to have those discussions. And I've heard today from other people who stopped me literally on the street. People, they would have talked to him. They'd see him walking down the street or cycling down the street. They stop and talk to him, and he'd literally stop and debate, discuss, even if they totally disagreed with him, and that was interesting.
Is that one of the things that put him over the top? I mean, we only have a couple minutes left. What was it about Jack Layton, his personality, his wiring, that let him go further than any leader had in your party to date? What was it?
Well, I think there was a couple factors. I mean, there was some obvious bigger picture politics that worked out. Quebec appeared.
But luck isn't all. I mean, this man was ready, and he'd been thinking about
this for years. Well, and that's what I was just like. There was some of those things coming together. But what Jack came across as, and it was true, is he really believed, you could sense that it wasn't just a talking point, that we use in political language, that's something they give you a line that you're supposed to repeat, 100 times a day, that he was actually talking. He could go off script because he really believed it. And that
I bet he rarely used a teleprompter. It's just unnatural for him.
He just knew this stuff. And so people, you can pick it up. You can pick up when someone's saying something because they have to, or because they're practiced, or when they really care about it. And that's what I think came through, especially in Quebec, but across the country. You may have disagreed with what he's saying, but you didn't think he was just saying that because that's what the cameras wanted to hear. He really believed it, whether you thought he was right or wrong, and that's, I think, what helped connect him with Canadians.
I think you're right. I mean, you're a tough guy yourself. You've been through a lot of fights. I sense just a drop of emotion in you as you're talking to me. I want to ask you a question. This is a loss for his family and for his friends, and I'd count you as both. But it is also a public loss. He had a very important role in our public life. He was an advocate for millions of people who shared his point of view. He had a constitutional role as the leader of the official opposition. This is a day for mourning and for grieving, but it is also a public day. What happens now to the official opposition? What happens to the NDP? What happens to progressives? Who's going to fill the void? How does that work?
Well, I think, there's a lot of things we can talk about, the legacies, policy legacies, Toronto, nationally, what he did for the party. But what you might not know, or what most Canadians might not have seen, is the real capacity building. And I was part of that in a little way as the president when I was there. But it was Jack who was really pushing to build the party nationally in Quebec and across the country. So whereas the party 5 years ago might not have had the same capacity, that growth has the organizing capacity across the country. And that will be part of his legacy, I think, for the New Democrats. So today, I don't think many people are thinking about what's next. I mean, people are reflecting on Jack. At some point, the party will come up with a process in terms of leadership. And, whoever it is who decides to run, and then whoever is elected by the party, will have a very strong base. That's something that wouldn't have been available, say, 5 years ago. And that's because of Jack. And it's very true in Quebec, but across the country. And that's part of his legacy to, left of center politics in this country, is a strong national movement. And I think that's important. You want to have these strong entities. You want a strong conservative party. I mean, I wouldn't want to vote for him, but you want that for Canada. You want that debate to occur, because then you get some of that balance that we as Canadians value so much.
I'm Jim Brony. I know it's a tough day for you, and going out and talking in public about a private loss is a difficult thing. It's important that we hear from you and from friends and family, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Thanks, Adam. Hey, folks, don't go away.